Hello and welcome to Crescent Studios. In this video, I am going to explain how to make a hotel management system in Python. This is a lengthy code that I have written, so I have decided to explain this code to you in two parts. In this video, we will be discussing only the first part of it. So in first part, let's see how the code is executed. When we run this code, the first function that will be executed is this home function. So let's see what is happening in this function. Here I have defined the home function and implemented it. First of all, I have printed few strings in console to communicate with the user and to tell them that how many functions this code can perform. As you can see that we have few options here that are bookings, rooms info, room service, payment and record, and exit. In this part, I will be explaining the bookings and the exit function only. The rest of the functions will be discussed in the next part. So once printing these strings to the console, then I am taking input from the user to choose one of these functions that user want to perform. Then based on the choice of the user, I am calling the booking function to start the execution of it. And if the user's choice is not one, then we are returning and exiting this function because other choices are yet not present in our code. So let's move on to the booking function. Here I have defined and implemented the booking function. First of all, just printing the few strings to communicate with user. Then in a while loop, we are taking input from the user about the name, phone number and address of the user. Then we are checking that if any of the three inputs that we have taken from the user, that are name, phone number and address, are empty or not. And if they are not empty, then we will append these strings to the lists of name, phone number and address respectively. But if any of the input from the user is empty, then we will print this string to the user and again take the input from the user because we are using a while loop here. So once the user has entered all the three strings of name, phone number and address, then we will take the input from user, the date of check-in, and here we will perform some computations to convert the string that we have taken input as check-in to convert this string to a date. First of all, the input that we have taken, we will append it to the list and split the list based on the delimiter slash. Then we will save all the three parts of the date, that is day, month and year, in three separate lists. Then we will call this date function. Let's go to the date function. Here I have defined the date function. Now I have used an if condition here to check if the year that user entered is between 2021 and 2025. Then we are checking that the months are between 1 and 12. Then here we are checking for the month of February and for the leap year, that every 4 years the date can be the 29th of February, but the rest of the years it must be 28th of the February, not greater than that. So if all of these conditions are met, we will pass and we will accept this date. But if the conditions are not met, then we will print invalid date and restart the booking after emptying all the lists that we have filled in the bookings function, that are name, phone number and address number. And if the check-in and check-out lists are not empty, then we will empty these lists as well. Then here we are checking for the months that have 30 and 31 days. Here again we will print invalid date if any of the month that has 30 days but the user asked for the 31st date of that month. And here this else condition is used for this if condition. If the months entered by the user is greater than 12 or less than 1, then this else condition is used for this if statement if the year is greater than 2025 or less than 2021. Now let's continue with the bookings function. So we have processed the check-in date. Similarly, we will take the input for check-out date and process it. Now here in this piece of code, we are checking the validity of the check-in and check-out dates. If the check-out date is less than the check-in date, Then we have an invalid check-in and check-out dates, and we will mention this to the user using this print statement, and we will restart the booking. So once we have checked the validity of the check-in and check-out dates, now we will calculate how many days the user wants to stay at the hotel. Then we will present the user with the choice of the rooms. Then we will take input from the user to check what choice of room they want to make. So now if the user inputs 0, then we will display the prices of the room to user. And here we are displaying the prices and again taking the input from user to now choose one of these 4 rooms. So once the user chooses the room that suits them, one of these if conditions will be executed. If the choice is 1, standard room with non-AC will be assigned to the user and we will display it on the console. The price will be updated and displayed on the console as well. Similarly, this will repeat for all the 4 rooms, and if the input from the user is other than these 4 choices, then we will print on console that the user has opted for the wrong room. Once the user has decided for the room, now we will generate a random customer ID and random room number and assign these two to the user. Then here we will check that if the random customer ID and room number that we have generated is already present in the lists, then we will regenerate it, or else we will assign these to the user. In this part of code, we are checking that the phone number that user has entered is already present in our lists. If yes, then we will communicate with the user with this print statement that the user is already present in the hotel and needs to clear their payment for further registration. We will empty the list and restart the booking. But if the user is new, then we will print a confirmation message on the console that the room is booked successfully, and we will present the customer with the room number and customer ID. So at the end we will ask the user that if they want to go back and restart the booking. Let's run this code. Here you can see in the console that we are presented with 6 choices. Now let's start the booking. It is asking for the name. Let's enter the name. Then it's asking for the phone number, then the address, then the check-in date, then the check-out date, now here you can see it says the total days are 32, and now it's asking for us to choose the room that we want. But first, let's see the prices of the rooms. Here it displays the prices of all the rooms. Now we have to choose one of these rooms. Let's choose standard non-AC room because it's the cheapest one. So finally it says that the room booked successfully and the room number and customer ID is assigned to us. Now if we want to start the booking again, we can go back and start the booking again. If we want to exit the code, we can choose 0 and exit the code. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. See you in the next one.